Wade is guarding Bryant. Artest looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up at the buzzer. Banks it in! He banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
Good morning, everybody. Guess what? It's Wednesday. It's 9 a.m. You know what that means. Live from Austin, Texas. It's winning on Wednesday.
Let's
I got
go.
myself and that dude over there, the king of faith. I can never point the right way the first time. I'm always pointing the wrong way the first time. I'll get it right eventually. And it's only been 52 shows. I still haven't figured it out. But the king of Facebook groups, Joe Camper's with us as always. What is happening, my friend?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Back in the office, had an amazing kickoff to the week there in San Antonio. So I'll get right into. I got 2 weekly wins though, and I've got some I want to share live too.
I only have one.
Yeah, but it was probably the San Antonio event. It was probably that because just what John Wetmore and his team put together, man, it was freaking awesome. And that room was packed, standing room only. I mean, probably I know there was 208 registered, so it was probably close to 200 attendees.
It was
just freaking value packed, 10 to 5, like just straight up freaking information, man. So that was awesome. And then, so I did get something today and I wanted to open it live to give a nice little shout out to my guy. Cause I got this thing. I was like, what the hell is this? It's heavy as shit. And it's, so you guys might know the power of relationship marketing, right? And who's that from? Mr. Luke Akery.
Oh, right on.
And Reminder Media. So I believe these are my magazines, and I wanted to open them live and show them.
Very
off.
Cool.
Yep. So let's see if I can get them out. Jeez.
So are you guys doing magazines to your client base or your agent base?
So we're going to actually use them for both because we had the special that he had going on, which he does, guys. If you guys haven't seen it, again, Luke Akery runs our Monday Mindset Call, but they've got a really cool holiday incentive deal going on right now. So we're going to use them for our agents just because of how many we could get, as well as kind of like our high net worth clients. So here they are right there, man. Branded to me.
Nice.
And they've got all kinds of cool stuff in there. Little tear out cards. So this is like Pop Fit. So it's like your own champagne bar, how to do that. All kinds of just good stuff in here, man. And it's all, so this again, it's relationship marketing, right? So we're not just blasting them with like an insurance magazine. It's about balance and stability, right? And all this good stuff. There's recipes in here. There's lifestyle type stuff like health, nutrition. But then it's all from Joe, right? So shout out to Luke. I was excited to see those come through, and it's perfect timing. Literally, it's, we've got a few weeks until Christmas. So might even go door knocking. Who knows? Go hand them out to some people and then as well send it to our agents. So was pretty excited about that. Shout out Luke Akery and Reminder Media. You guys do an amazing job, and really appreciate you running our Monday Mindset Call. So appreciate you, man.
And just to plug that again, man, if you guys haven't tuned into Monday Mindset with Luke, I highly recommend it. Not to take anything away from the rest of the stuff we have going on in the syndicate and the shows, but that show is probably our most underrated show. I would highly recommend it. I listened to it before we jumped on Monday, before I got on stage. Like it was right, like his timing was right before I walked up on stage. So I listened to it, got juiced up, listened to it, and just, that's a phenomenal show, man. You guys are really missing something if you're not watching Monday Mindset. I definitely recommend it. So
absolutely.
Tune in.
Absolutely.
Same time, all of our shows are 9 a.m. So it's just on Monday, not Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday like the other shows.
Yes, sir. What's your weekly win? Is it San
Well,
Antonio
since
as well?
since I can't apparently use San Antonio because you stole it from me. Honestly, it was waking up this morning and watching people mow my yard.
Really?
Well, not so much mow the yard as it was clean up all the leaves. I have this oak tree in my front yard that I don't know if it's I know it's not a live oak. I think it may be a white oak, but the leaves are as big as your face. They're huge. And when fall comes, it just drops all of them, thousands.
Yep.
So my entire yard is blanketed. My neighbor's yard is blanketed with them. They're everywhere. Covers up the whole yard. And I watched this guy come out and he probably had 12 bags of leaves.
Okay,
By
that
the
is
time I
plenty.
rolled out of my driveway, he had been there for a couple hours cleaning them all up. And I was just remembering the days that my sad ass was out there cleaning those leaves up. And for the longest time, I was doing my own yard until one day I woke up and realized, like, I'm actually wasting money doing this. Like, I'm losing money because I'll go out there. It'll take me 5 hours, you know, but I pay these dudes $200 a month. They come by once a week, $50 basically. They mow my yard, edge it. And I have a big yard. It's like a quarter of an acre. So for a residential lot, that's a lot of space. So I woke up this morning hearing those sounds. I was already awake, but I heard them come in as soon as the crack of dawn. They start early. And I looked out there and I saw one guy blowing leaves in a pile and the other guy putting them in bag. And I looked over and I was like, damn, he's got like 12 bags over there, poor guy.
Merwin was hype for the leaf blower.
I was excited. I was like, this is nice.
He's like, I'm so ready for winning on Wednesday.
My yard's going to be nice and clean. I don't have to do anything. All I got to do is go work and make money and do my thing. So that was nice.
I love it. Well, hey, speaking of making money, our guest guys here on the show, really a good friend of mine, was able to meet and connect with him years ago and just stay connected. And so the guy, I mean, gosh, what he came from and what he's doing now, success stories all across the board. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him on, Mr. Jason Kilgo with Kilgo Insurance. What's going on, brother?
What's up?
What's going on, fellas? Thanks for being here.
You're looking at it.
Thank you for being here. We're always here. We don't have a choice. We have to show up every Wednesday. But, you know, you're a featured guest, so thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Well, tell them a little bit just who's Jason Kilgo, and then what's a weekly win for you?
Yeah, so Jason Kilgo, founder of Kilgo Insurance, been in business since 2016. Just trucking along where we specialize in homeowners insurance and working with the real estate industry, loan officers, real estate agents, and just really put everything I had into it, into that business plan. And yeah, I got to say, life is good. We're blessed. When you asked me about weekly win, I tell you what, my mind started rambling, but really I have two awesome wins. One's this week, but one is kind of like this month. So monthly, got to give a shout out to the wife. She is officially a nurse practitioner.
Oh, let's go.
11 years that we've been working together for that goal. She's put that on her back and she's, it's tough. I mean, going to school, working, kids, everything. And I'm just so proud of her. We're just tickled to death. We're ready for this next chapter of her life. So it's awesome. Got to give the wife a shout out. It takes, when you're like that in this business, it's rough to do it on your own. And I used to call her my silent investor. And I'm hoping I can do that. Maybe I can retire early. The other one I have is a little outside the box, but I think a lot of people think of their goals and they all want to start January 1st, right? Everybody's like, hey, January 1st, this is what I'm going to do this year. So this year I decided, hey, look, I've always got goals, always. I'm the kind of person, I'm always coming on and trying to accomplish as much as I can every day, every week, every month, every year. But I was like, you know what, how can I get myself more involved with my kids? And so what I came up with is, I've actually got it written down. We're going to literally have two cooked meals with each kid. Each kid will get a meal a night where we cook it together. So
awesome, cool.
I've got two kids. I got Jaleese who's 10, Troy who's 6. So each 2 nights out of the week. One night I'm cooking with Jaleese, one night I'm cooking with Troy.
That's awesome.
So they're going to help me, and I think that's going to help them learn to cook, but it'll get me to spend some time with them. It also eases my wife. She doesn't have to worry about 2 meals out of the week. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then we just started, I don't know if anybody's seen my Facebook page, we just started family workouts, and we're going to do 3 family workouts where all of us get in front of the mirror and work out together. And so we've got the next one tonight, and my wife's already trying to bow out, but I'm not letting her. I'm like, look, we're committed to this. We're going to do it for a year, and hopefully it continues. But yeah, so I think those are wins. We've already completed the first one, so it's a win.
That's awesome,
Nice.
man. No, and that's huge for your wife. Yeah, definitely shout out to her. Yeah, definitely. I mean, with kids, with obviously running the agency, everything you guys have going on, man.
11 years, man. 11 years. We've been
That is
married
a
for
win.
12. We've been in school for 11 years.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Kudos
That's
to her,
commitment.
man. Yeah. Well, and
Absolutely.
I love that you said that part about the goals, right? Is because I think you're 100% correct that a lot of people, and so we've actually been holding like our own morning meetings for the past couple of weeks of just really prefacing, hey, do not or don't take your foot off the gas pedal right now, right? And because how you go into January is how you're going to kick off all of 2023, right? And making sure that we have that mission, that goal, that whatever perspective, whatever it is that we need to accomplish, we're doing it now, right? So that, hey, we're going to finish out strong, but then we're already prepared and geared so that when Jan 1 hits, right, it's game on. We already know what we're chasing after. So I love that you said that, because I think a lot of agents do wait until they wake up that morning and they're hungover as shit, right? And then they're like, oh man, I was supposed to start those, like I was supposed to start the resolutions today, and it's like, no, you weren't, man. Come on,
God,
you were up.
tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
and it's just another day, right?
Yep.
It's just another day. So what society makes that day important? And I'm always trying to think outside the box. I'm like, okay, why do I have to wait for that day? Why can't we just start today?
Yep.
We've got a
Yep.
goal. Let's put it in play, and let's win, right? Let's win the
Let's
day,
win. Come on.
and let's start this goal now, because everybody's like, I was talking to a loan officer yesterday, and we met for lunch, and he ordered a cheeseburger, and he's like, hey man, I know I need to get in the gym. I know I need to do this. And he's like, but I got Christmas. We had Thanksgiving, we got Christmas, we got New Year's. He's like, so I'm just going to start the New Year's. I'm like, why?
Right.
Why start it then? Start now, and you can still have a good time. I'm not saying you can't have a good time, but start with your goals now.
Yep. I love that.
I know, but
right.
but
always.
like
always.
how many people say that like all the time? We're like, oh, I know, but I know I need to, but here's an excuse.
Right. And real quick, so then with that, hey, if anybody wants to start on a goal today, right now, put it in the comments, right? We would love for you guys to put that in the comments. I'd love to see that. We'll get it up on the screen. Definitely can reach out if you need some accountability. I think that's another big part of setting goals, right? So, and just putting it out there. Really, it's kind of keeping your own self accountable, because if you tell a shit ton of people that you're going to do it, and then you got to do it, right? Because you just put it out there. So if anybody wants to share their goals, definitely put that in here. Would love to get you up on the show. And so let's go back, Kilgo, because I want to hear. And look, this guy's, I mean, his phone's always ringing, y'all. You guys can hear that. The man's is making money. Let's go back to, and this is, I like this question, and I've been asking it now, so now it's just going to become part of the show. What was your first ever job? So obviously, before you get into insurance and everything, what was your first job ever?
First true job was CarMax.
Okay.
So, well, I lifeguarded, right? So I did lifeguarding, put myself, in high school, my parents were kind of people like, hey, you want anything, go get a job, start making some money. So I did lifeguarding, but first true job out of school was selling cars for CarMax.
Okay. All right.
Learned a lot from that.
I didn't know that. So that actually probably was a good setup for just as far as sales, and then you getting in. So did you go from CarMax to Geico, or was there a stint in between there?
Yeah. So good question. So I sold cars for CarMax, which was actually really a great experience, because it's no haggle. So it's not, a hard pressured sales, steal from your coworkers kind of environment. It's really kind of a fun experience, because most of the people that work at CarMax are relatively young. So we could sell cars, and we all hung out at night. So it was a great experience, kind of going through that and kind of honing some sales skills that I already had within. Then from there, I really, a lot of personal stuff happened. I ended up moving down to Florida, lived in Fort Lauderdale for a while. and ended up becoming kind of a drafter for an engineering company, just because I thought that was kind of the direction I wanted to go in. I wanted to go into architecture, engineering. Found out I would have to go back to school for another 4 or 5 years, and was like, nope, don't want to do that. So when I moved back up to Virginia, I had, I was back in my 20s and just really didn't know the direction I wanted to go in. And it got to a point where I had to choose either go work for Capital One and sell credit cards to people, or go to Geico and sell insurance. And I just thought insurance looked more like a career. I didn't want to sell credit cards. I was like, that's not me. I'm the kind of person, I don't want anybody in debt. I want people financially,
Like that.
prosperous, wealthy. So I was like, let me go to Geico. I'd rather secure it. I'd rather help people get covered correctly and protect it. So I went the insurance route, walked right in. I had $20 to my name, maybe less. And I walked right in. I said, whoever your best salesperson is, I'll beat them if you give me a job right now.
Come on.
So that's what I did. That's how I got my insurance career. They hired me pretty much on the spot. They actually sent me home. They're like, we don't do that. Went home for about an hour, and they called me up and said, come back in. We want you.
Let's go.
So came back in, had a second interview, and that was a wrap. So was a great experience at Geico. Training is next to none. Don't believe in their philosophy. Don't like how they sell insurance. Don't like what they've made the insurance industry become. But as far as training goes, they are, I would consider, the best.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think your numbers showed it too, because I know what you were writing a year with them. And before I do want you to share those numbers because it's freaking crazy impressive. But I wanted to go back because you said from within, right? And then you, even just the confidence of never being in insurance and walking in and like, give me your best salesperson and I'll freaking beat them. Where do you think that came from? Can we break that down a little bit of like, okay, hey, I've obviously you had that within, right? Where did that come from? Was it something from childhood? Was it just, hey, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur type thing? What was that?
From an early age, I've always been a competitive person. I've always naturally been that way. I'm a Leo, horoscope sign. So we like to be center of attention. We're go-getters. We're the attention in the crowd, right? Like, so, that kind of just fits my personality. But I struggled in school in the beginning. And my parents were like, hey, this is the line. And my mom was a school teacher, and my mom's dream for me, actually, it was probably more her dream than mine, is she wanted me to go to college. And that is all my mom cared about. No one in her family had gone to college. So I'm the first person to go and get a bachelor's degree. And she was always been more proud of that than anything else. And I just told myself, look, what's that?
What'd you get your bachelor's in? Sorry.
Communications.
Okay.
Probably the easiest thing you can get. I really just, in my mind, I wanted to go and do script writing. I wanted to go into movies. I wanted to be a producer, director. That was kind of like where I was going with all that. And then I figured out that I would have to mop floors and get coffee for people. And I was like, that's just not where I want to start. And so I abandoned that career. And, and that's the thing. It's like, I think some things just, opportunity comes and you have to grab it. And some of the opportunity you have to work for. And some things you're willing to work for because you have passion, you really believe in it, and some of them you don't. And, I still have a couple ideas for movies and books that I want to do. And, eventually that is a bucket list. Eventually those will come out. But, I think I wasn't willing to put in the work for that. So I wasn't as passionate for it. But I just told myself, look, if you're going to do anything in life, why be second best? So I always went at everything I do. I play basketball at 5 a.m. Now, does it matter if we win the game? No. No one cares. There's maybe 20 of us out there. No one's going to care. No one sees it. But if I'm going to do it, if I'm going to go out there, best believe I'm trying to score every point. I'm trying to get every rebound. I'm trying to get every assist. I'm trying to play like Kobe Bryant, right? So if you lose, if you don't get first, it's okay, because at least I gave 100%. But the goal going into it is that I'm going to give you my best. I'm giving you 100%, and I'm going for first place. I'm not going for second. But if I
Love
get
it.
second, I'm okay with it because I gave you 100%.
I love it. Well, let's talk about that 100%. Let's drop some accolades, some numbers, just because I know, dude, you literally walked in the door into Geico and then you just start freaking popping off. So kind of just step us through that up into when you became an independent, because I would love. I gotta have you share those numbers because they're badass freaking numbers, man.
Yeah, I just had a meeting with my team, and I was trying to get them to understand that, when I walked into Geico, to hit 200 policies a month in auto sales was like a unicorn. It was a myth. Like no one thought it could be done. There was a lot of people that were selling, a lot of policies over 150, but no one quite was hitting over 200. When I got in there, my numbers, I sold 2,616 policies in 1 year. If you do the numbers, that's well over 200 a month, and that became the norm.
Yeah.
That became okay. Everybody was like, all right, Kilgo's doing this consistently. He's killing records. He's breaking records left and right. And then everybody just started seeing that and just started following. Everybody started. It wasn't nothing to hit 100 policies a month. Now everybody was like, we got to hit 2. So yeah, it was great. Close percentage was close to 50%. So every 2 calls I took, I sold 1. And it was great. I mean, I worked a lot of hours. I worked really hard at it. I know people out there are going to ask, okay, how did you do it? And really, I just didn't give up on calls. I listened. I asked a lot of questions that weren't some of the questions that Geico really cared or wanted to ask. But I just wanted to find out of people. And then I used that and whatever value. I mean, Geico, the best thing they had back at the time was the 24/7. Now everybody's 24/7. So the game has changed. And that's what people need to realize, that you can't use the same selling style forever. The world changes. You have to be able to adapt.
Yep.
And that's what I did. I kept adapting. I kept closing, and I just didn't give up. I mean, if we were $500 higher, I was still closing. So I just never gave up on a call. And I think people started thinking, okay, oh my gosh, well, this is just more than me calling in and getting a price.
Right.
I want to buy from this guy. So
Yep.
yeah, it was great. I loved my time with Geico because it was like I was the quarterback of the football team. So it was good. I got it was good until it wasn't good. Let's put it like that. It wasn't good. It was good until I found out that it was truly a call center. Geico is truly just monetizing the insurance industry to making it a commodity to where everybody's just it's basically price. It's price driven.
Yep.
And I didn't want to do that anymore. And then they started kind of picking on you where they would say, hey, your call wasn't the best, even though I sold it.
Like
right.
What?
I did what you wanted me to do, but we didn't like how you did it. We didn't like that you didn't say certain things the way we wanted you to say them. So then I just got funny about it. And I was like, at the beginning of the call, I would just say, hey, if everything sounds great today, if I wow you and you're super delighted with this call, are you ready to buy today? Before I even got their name, before I got anything, I would just say that.
Mm-hmm.
So next thing you know, I'm in the manager's office, and they're like, "Hey, man, you can't start off like that. You can't get." I was like, "Well, we know these people are calling in for price.
Right.
There's really nothing else we offer. So we know they're calling in for price. So why can't I go ahead and get that out of the way?" But they didn't like that, and so I went into mortgages after that, and that's kind of how I got back over to insurance.
So let's go back to the training, because you said it was second to none, and then I want to get into kind of just the philosophy of sales and how you approach stuff, and really maybe even kind of what was that light bulb moment of I want to go independent. But what were 2 to 3 things, right? So again, somebody who's maybe sitting in a leadership role or somebody who's in a training role, right, a coaching role. What were 2 to 3 things that you think made them second to none, that really equipped you to go hit over 2,000 policies in a freaking year? I mean, that takes some people 5 years, hell, 10 years. I bet you there's people who have been in business for 15, 20 years that don't have 2,000 policies on the books. And they definitely weren't selling it at 500 higher, like more than what they were paying, right? So I think there had to have been something in that training. Obviously, what was within, which we broke that down, but what was the training aspects of that?
I break it down into 3 parts. So the
Okay.
interview process was cool because you come in and they talk to you for a little bit, but then they put you in this room and there's only a telephone in there. That's all that's in there. It's a telephone. And it's like one of those old, like hang on the wall kind of telephones, right? It's like 1980s kind of telephones, right? And they give you a sheet and it's a car wash. And they say, hey, and on the car wash, you can see there's different highlights of what makes this car wash, why you would want to go there, right? Whether it's discounts or whether it's quality, where it's located, all this stuff, right? Then they tell you, hey, the phone's going to ring and you need to sell this car wash to the person who's calling in. And so phone rings, you pick up, and it's go time.
Wow.
And they want to see what they're looking for is, can you relate the value that's on that sheet and handle objections on that call to close it?
Yep.
And so after the call, I'm over there. I'm like, I killed that. I crushed that. I told the lady in the next interview, I was like, I crushed that car wash thing, didn't I? And she just smiled at me because I don't think they're allowed. I don't know if they're allowed to say or not, but she just smiled at me.
Right.
So taking people live through that, I think a lot of people, when they interview, they miss the bus on that. They think they've got a good candidate, but they're not tested. There's nothing there to show and prove what they're saying or what's on that resume or what they've said in that interview is really going to happen. And Geico kind of knew from that, okay, we've got a winner here. We can work with this. The other thing I like about them is you come in and they almost want you to not be licensed. And they take you, and it's 2 solid weeks of nothing but education and studying and help and teaching you to get through that test. So they provide all that. And I don't even have that with my agency. I mean, I don't have the resources. I don't have the time. So, the agencies out there that have put a lot of effort into that are way ahead. Yeah. And so they're getting these people tested, and they've got something sick, like an 80, 90% pass rate. Wow. I might even be higher. I mean, they're taking the time to make sure that you're going to pass and that, that you're somebody that's trainable, it's coachable, and it's going to work with them. So,
and I think now too, they have that pre-licensing stuff. Like, I mean, that's now it costs, right? And I think that's where a lot of, like what you said, it does cost, right? But I will say, anybody that's maybe watching this, that's, thinking about picking up a license again, whether it's P&C or life and health. My guys, now I found this Texas School of Insurance, right? Now, again, it really only applies to Texas residents, but man, even in the virtual classroom environment, not even going, I always suggest go in person. But even in the virtual classroom, right? Like just spending the money, right? So you're going to pay for what you value because you're trying to get licensed fast. But I think, taking the class, right? Having somebody guide you through that, because it is, I mean, you're drinking from a freaking fire hose. Let's be honest, especially on the P&C side, if you're trying to be a general agent, because then you have all the commercial stuff built into obviously all the other stuff. Take a class. And I think, obviously Warren Buffett's probably got some resources to make his own within Geico, right?
Who I've met him twice, and
oh, really?
That's been a pretty cool experience. I mean, he is and exactly as you would think he is.
Yeah,
he is super down to earth. The guy pulled up. It was 2004. The guy pulled up in a 1996 Lincoln Town car and just walked through the community like he was just a same as you. Told jokes at the table, and probably most people laughed because they felt they had to. But
it's Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
You should laugh.
He is just as cool and as normal, down to earth person you'll ever meet in your life.
Wow. That's cool. Honestly, I didn't actually assume that. I mean, the dude owns like 200, 300 freaking insurance companies, not to mention, I'm sure, countless other businesses. But that's really cool. I never actually would have assumed that he's like super chill and down to earth.
Yeah. I mean, back then he could walk around. He only had, his driver was also his bodyguard. But now I'm sure he's got an entourage.
Right.
Just the way life is moved forward. But, that's what I think I respect about him the most, is that you could have a conversation with him. He talked to everyone. He didn't put himself on a pedestal.
That's good.
So the third thing I did want to share is once you get your license, they have they have their training. You're in a classroom, and typically they keep their classrooms to about 20 or less, but they really get hands-on with their training. And and that's for like a month. I mean, it's not a short period. It's like a month.
Right.
So it was a month and a half before I even got on the phones.
Mm.
So they really take the time to go through it. And what I remember the most about that is we walk in one day, and there's a 1980s phone at the front of the room, and the teacher comes out and she says, "Hey, who wants to go first? We're taking a live call today." And you got in there, and one by one, all of us went, and it was your time to shine. Show us what you learned. Show us what you got. We're going live.
Wow.
And I was lucky to say I saw my first one.
Come
So
on.
that was a sign.
Nice.
I was like, all right, I kind of like this. I'll stay for a little bit.
That's a confidence builder right there for
Oh,
sure.
yeah. It's a little nerve wracking too, because you're in front of everybody. You've never done it before.
Yeah, the whole class, they're
You're
staring
on
at
the
you.
spot. Oh yeah, it's really a little nerve wracking, but it was also fun because you get to go through it, and then really people get nervous about that stuff, but it's just like cold calling. Once you do it a couple times, it just becomes part of your day.
Yep. You have something, Tony?
Just a
Were you gonna bring up?
conversation. No, it's just a conversation. You know, it's just
Right.
we put the pressure on ourselves because we feel like we have to perform at a certain level. Like, just relax. You're having a conversation with someone that's, that has a need, and you're there to present value and discover that need. So
It's just like video. Everybody's afraid to do it, and then you're like, all right, I
once
need
you
to
do it,
Yes.
Yep.
Once you do it, it just becomes the norm.
I love
Yeah.
it. Well, thank you for
Absolutely.
sharing that stuff, because that's freaking gold. I mean, shoot, it's kind of like just throw them in the bullpen, right? And just have it round robin with that phone. That's really cool. I like that a lot. So then so obviously killing the game at Geico, right? We've got some confidence and just, hey, I'm going to be the best, and I'm always going to give my 100% from within, right? Got the degree in communications, which I didn't ever know you wanted to do movies and write scripts and stuff like that. That's really cool. Now take us to, so you had a short stint in mortgage before you got in or came back to insurance. So let's kind of walk through that, and then kind of the formation of just Kilgo Insurance and kind of what all you're doing there.
Yeah, I got a really good friend in California. He was actually my counterpart at Geico. He was the best on the West Coast. I was the best on the East Coast. And then so he told me, he's like, look, man, Geico's really messing around. He's like, if I was young like you, he's a little bit older. He's like, I would get into mortgages. I was like, man, all right, I never really thought about that. And then I got tired of, Geico kind of, keep poking me. So I was like, all right, I'm going to make a move. So I went into this. I did the same thing, mortgages. I walked right in there and I said, look, I know nothing about mortgages. I am green. But if you hire me right now, I'll be your best loan officer. And that was all it took. He gave me a shot, and I was top in the region for, let's see, I was there from 2006 to 2010. So I think I was top in the region 3 out of 4 years.
Awesome.
So it was good. So yeah, it was, and money was good. Everything was good. But if you know those years, 2008, 2009 is in there when the first recession, hit, the housing market started declining. It got tough. Working for the bank I was with. And I decided that, I wanted to live a better life. And I met my future wife during that time, and it just took so much of my time. I didn't set the right time expectations, and I was taking calls 24/7. I mean, I felt like a stockbroker or, an MBA agent. I was just constantly on the phone. I was like, man, there's just no way to live life. I want to be able to spend time with my wife and my kids and family. And so went back into insurance for Allstate. And that's kind of where I got my footing for being an owner and how to run a business and do things. And then, I just said, hey, look, there's so much more opportunity elsewhere. And from my Geico to loan officer to Allstate, I just thought, okay, I can do this better. I can do this better than what Geico and Allstate they're doing. I can do it better. And that's where I put my plan together and started my independent in 2016.
What specifically do you feel like you could do better?
The sales calls. I felt like every time you go, a consumer calls in to get insurance, we all know what's on their mind is rate. They just want to see if you can beat the rate. They want to see if they can save money somehow, some way. And all the commercials, all the advertising, everything leads to that, right? Geico kind of started it, made it a big deal because if you remember, and I don't know this exactly because it's before my time, but State Farm used to meet you in your kitchen table, face to face, look you in the eye, give you a handshake, and say, "Sign here. I'm going to make sure you're covered."
Yep.
There's value in that. There's trust built in that. Now nobody does that anymore, right? So Geico comes along and says, "Hey, forget all that handshake stuff. It's about money, and we can save you money." So what I want to do is I want to bring the handshake back, but I want to do it digitally, or I want to do it through the phone. And so the way we sell, we want to pinpoint we want to ease your pain point, and we want to tell a story about how we can help you. And through that story, we don't need to convince you. You're going to convince yourself. You're going to have self-discovery and know the need is there of what you need to buy.
That's good.
And then it doesn't become about price. It becomes, okay, I need this from them because of who they are, what they can provide, the value they've told me about, it's double what I've got now. And usually, yes, we can save some people money. Don't get me wrong. But we're also always giving them the best coverages.
Yep. Hey, in facts tell, stories sell, right? And I know, and that's why, kind of talk about just even leading with the umbrella. So again, this is going to be definitely P&C specific, but I think it can still translate into different products and just how you approach a call where it's not just, hey, let me just whip up an auto policy, right? It's, well, hey, we're leading with the umbrella and then breaking it down from there. And I know that obviously you're telling stories as to why the umbrella, why you need the excess liability and all that stuff. Kind of break that down, or where did that come from? Did you kind of start that yourself, or did that come from somebody where it's like, hey, I'm going to lead with umbrella? I know Craig Wiggins, they're a preferred vendor here in the group. They definitely try to lead with the umbrella. Where did that come from?
Yeah, Craig Wiggins definitely was instrumental in that. Just kind of saw how his process was laid out and what he was doing. And I said, you know what, this is how it should be done. So the way I've always instructed myself or my staff to go after a sales call is questions. Make sure you're asking the right questions, build rapport up front. So we've been doing that all along. We've been going about, making sure we understand what the true problem is that client has, because we all know it's not price. Otherwise, people wouldn't need to buy Mercedes. They wouldn't need to buy BMWs. They'd be buying Chevy Cavaliers, Ford Focus, right? So
the Cavalier. I don't know if I've heard of a Chevy Cavalier in a hot minute.
I don't think they make them anymore.
Yeah.
I always use that example because when I say Chevy Cavalier, nobody wants a Chevy Cavalier.
Right.
Remember the Dodge Neon? Nobody wants a Dodge Neon, right? Remember Saturn? Nobody wants a Saturn, right?
Yep.
Saturn was my first car, by the way. So nobody wants those cars. They get those cars because they need a car to get to A to B, right? Let's face it, right?
Yep.
There's nothing great about those cars. But so if it was about money, then you would get the Chevy Cavalier,
right?
So why are people buying Mercedes? Well, it's because of the value, the prestige, the bells and whistles, the social acceptance, right? So the class, right? They want that class. They want that above standard recognition when people drive by them. Oh, that person drives a Mercedes. So we look for, okay, let's find out what kind of client we've got on the phone. Let's find out what their true needs are. Let's figure out what their true problems are. What it's other than price. We know.
Right.
So what is it? And let's find it. What I got from Craig is I love how they don't just go through the coverages. And I think that's where people make a mistake. They just read off the coverages. How many times have you read off the coverages? I guarantee you call that client an hour later, they have no clue what you just went over.
Right. Yeah.
They do not understand it. They still don't get it. Right. And that's minutes after you talk with them. Because there's nothing there to say, okay, do you understand this? How do we know? Right. So the story puts it all in perspective because the story gets real. this could happen. This did happen, right? This is a factual story, and we don't lead like that. We just go right into it. This is a factual story of something that happened. And guess what? Based on what you've told me in the beginning of this call, this fits something that could happen to you.
Right.
Right.
And I think a lot of people are nervous to say that too, right?
Yes.
Because it's like they think it's like you shouldn't. Well, like almost kind of wishing something upon them, and it's like, well, no, it's literally numbers don't lie. Literally, shit happens to people every single day, and especially on the PNC side. I mean, what is one of the most dangerous things that you can do? And really, it is actually, I believe, the most dangerous thing we do on a daily basis is get behind the wheel, right? And a lot of that, I think people they are nervous to say that. Like, look, this could literally happen to you after we hang up this freaking phone call, right? Because and the thing, it can, right? Now we're not wishing that upon anybody, but I love how you said that, because that's the importance of telling the story so they understand. And for the most part, the consumer does understand, whether it's happened to them or it's happened to somebody in their circle or their family or friends, something like that, like through a story that Jason and his team tell them, it probably has happened, right? Statistically, it's like, well, what's the probability of this happening? It probably has to them, right? So I love that you said that, because if we really care about protecting them, then we shouldn't be scared of telling them that, right? Or being nervous to say, this could possibly happen to you, man. And that's why we're on this call. It almost even gives the sense of urgency to buy now, right? To try and one call close that sucker. So I love that you said that, man. That's really good.
And Tony, and your department, it's you're talking about death, right? So life insurance,
Death and critical illness, right?
Everything comes into play, right? It's all relative.
Absolutely.
And so the client needs to understand that this is guaranteed.
Right.
This will eventually happen to you. And this is where you could leave a legacy. This is where you can help your loved ones.
Yep.
And that's what it boils down to. Our target client is families. We want someone that's married. We want someone that's older, has a house, has assets, because we want to show them, hey, look, to keep all these things, this is the coverage you got to have.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And the story just really sets it in realistic terms that this could happen.
Yep.
And I love the objection that, hey, I've never had anything like that happen. I've never had anybody happen to me. And I just sit back and I think about how, well, if we do want to go back to price, why do you even want to be in that predicament? And it's plus or minus $200 a year.
Right. Right.
It's worth it.
Yeah. It's
the math makes it work. And that's where I think it's important for people to actually know the numbers. Because people, when you read off the coverages, blah, 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 100,000 a year, 300 to 500, people are just like, okay, what's the price?
Right.
Right. They don't get it. But when you paint the picture and then you make them do the math of what they're responsible for, oh, that's why I need 500,000.
Right.
And everything's more expensive now, right?
Yep.
Inflation's right. Everything's
well,
more
and that average lawsuit ain't getting any freaking less expensive. I think it's like the average lawsuit's $1 million minimum, right? And that's, I mean, think about the coverages that we see on some of these Geico policies, because these people can go out and buy their own insurance. I actually just recently did a podcast with Bruce Weinstein where we really did talk about this, just about how consumers really, it's where I believe the agent isn't ever going to go away, because people go out there and they go and buy their own insurance, right? It's the cheapest price, but you're right. They don't understand the coverage. They need somebody like us to really, and I hope we hear that with Jason saying it is our responsibility. We owe this to the client to try and help them at least communicate it in a way that they can understand. Insurance is not sexy. Nobody gives a shit about comprehensive and collision coverage, right? But if we can talk about, again, instances where these things would come into play, it helps them really just build that frame of reference, right? So they're not having to think about BIPD and UMPD and UIMPD, right? All the shit all the acronyms that insurance is comprised of. I love that you said that.
I think what's important is that at the end of the day, you might have explained it perfectly, but they're not going to really remember it, right? What they're going to remember, or what we're hoping they remember on that call, is that story.
Yep.
So, and
they're going to remember anything that attaches to emotion.
Exactly.
Right? Emotion is what creates memories and burns memories, right? Not facts and reading through a summary of benefits, they get tuned out pretty quick. Unless it's, that small percentage of super geeky people that are really into riders and numbers and details and statistics. But most people are like, if you can make them feel a certain way, an emotion and a little bit of fear, like, oh, wow, yeah, that would be a big problem.
Yeah, they
Need to fix
know that they're covered right. They know they've
Right.
got the best coverage. They're like, hey, this is what I'm getting. I know I'm covered. So I have peace of mind to walk out my door every day knowing that I have this coverage. And that's our mission. We help
Yep.
people live life confidently through insurance. And so the only way we know to do that is making sure that they, through that story, they know, hey, look, I know in these situations, I'm covered correctly by Kilgo Insurance, and that's why we love them. That's why we stick through them.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it's been great. Our customers are.
Let's talk about the customers. Let's talk about, because I want to make sure we have some time to cover this, because your model it's beautiful, right? And so you talk about getting in, like, so for a P&C agent, whether they're new or established, what are some of these ways that you're marketing, that you're getting in front of, like, really kind of break down that model? I don't feel like we need to sign it. It's, people know the model, right? I think it's out there, but like, what are some things that you've really done to get in front of this? And I think another thing, I hope you guys heard this, Jason, before he started going, like, he figured out his ideal client, right? Like, I'm not going after some monoline, young person buying their first car off the lot, right? And just getting insured. Like, you really defined the clientele that you wanted, right? And I think that's so important, especially for new agents. Like, don't just accept it all. Not to say that I haven't been the culprit of doing that, because I was, especially when I first became independent. And Jason, I'm sure you probably felt it, coming from having one option to now I literally, if it can be insured, I can do it. Like, this is really, so, but I love that you define that. How are you getting in front of them, and how are you creating, really, what's the marketing strategy behind that? I think that'd be very beneficial to people.
When we got new agents that come and they say, okay, if you had to do it all over again, what would you do? That would be one of the things I would tell them, is that same way, Joe, when I started, I was very lucky that I had, like, within my first couple of months, I had like 12 appointments.
Yeah.
I had 12 carriers I could write through, and they were all handpicked, but I always got their appointment. And I wrote everything for 2 years. And then in 2019, I said, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. We need a better game plan. And that's when we started really picking and choosing. And I had, I didn't really have retention problems, but I had loss ratio issues from those clients.
Yeah.
Not from the clients we had from 2019 on, but from those clients. And so we got a client right now, and he doesn't have email, and he's not getting email. He doesn't want to do automatic payments.
Right.
And I was like, well, that's a no.
Yep. Don't fit my model. Yep.
Everybody in our book is EFT.
Yeah.
Everyone in our book has 100, 300 or higher. That's just the way we roll. There's certain rules of engagement that we have that we won't allow other people to just determine, whether they get a policy with us or not. So we have to stick by those principles. I got lost in all that.
How just the kind of the mortgage relationship, and just kind of those partnerships that you've built. And I think, last time we talked, you had like over 50 freaking relationships, if probably not more. And maybe just break that down.
What's crazy is we actually have around 500, 600 relationships.
Oh shit.
We have that many. Where we're hurting right now is the follow-up and staying in front of all of them. It is a very competitive market. You've got a lot of competition out there. I mean, I feel like every day there used to be an insurance agent on every block. Now I think there's like 2 or 3, right? So it's like the competition is crazy, and everybody's going after this. Everybody's kind of figured out my game plan now, it feels like, and has gone after it. So I think you have to find creative ways. I think you can't just be the donuts. It can't be the coffees. It's got to be something more. And we're really taking it. We're trying to take it to another level and customize it to those loan officers, referral partners. And really what we're doing right now is we're focusing on the onboarding.
Yep.
So we do a pretty good job of getting the client. Okay, how do we make that client a wowing experience, better than your average company they get onboarded to?
Yep.
And you don't ever want, I feel like when people buy something, there's a small percentage on everything you buy where there's some regret, right? We want to eliminate that. We want to eliminate that and say, oh my gosh, you guys just concreted, that this was the right choice. You guys are doing something phenomenal here. And we do that by, funny videos, welcome videos, things, and, anything that we can like stay in front of them, obviously cross sell things, life insurance, blah, blah. It keeps going. We want to make it educational, a welcoming, heartfelt, process that we're going to keep them going, right? We're going to keep staying in front of them. And what we're hoping is now that we've got the loan officer referrals, now we can get raving fan referrals.
Yep. How did you get in front of, how did you establish, obviously, okay, maintaining is kind of the pain point now, but dude, how did you establish 500 to 600 referral relationships with mortgage people? So is it from your stint in mortgages, or is it is it both?
Yeah, I didn't burn any bridges, so that was good. And so a lot of the people that I worked with, that I was in competition with, that I knew about, I knew about my competition, I was able to save those relationships and say, hey, now I'm in insurance. Can you send me business for insurance? So that helped. That was a big advantage I had over most insurance agencies. Plus, we know the lingo. We know the back office work. We know how it all sets up. We know that the processor, the LOA, the assistant, they're probably the ones that you really want to talk to. Yep. So we kind of already had that inside track, so that helped. But I think it all comes down to hard work. It just comes down to hard work and not being outworked. We just make a ton of phone calls. We do a lot of appointments. We do a lot of, what do they call it? Pop buys and events. And we're in every single mortgage real estate organization in the state of Virginia, from Northern Virginia to Southern Virginia. We're in everything. Yep. If there's anything to do with the real estate industry, we're involved. We've also built strong alliances with title companies. We've also built strong alliances with mortgage insurance, the PMI companies. We're all allies. So why not? I've got a guy here that's he does PMI, and we're good friends because we're allies. We need to get in front of the same people. He's trying to sell a product. I'm trying to sell a product to the same person. We're not in competition. Right. So we'll do things together. Yep. I've got on boards where I run conferences for the Mortgage Association out here, for the BMBA. And so I think it's just hard work. And then it really just comes down to what I preach to my team all the time. It's likability and reliability. Do they like you? Do they see you as somebody they want to work with? If they give you that chance, they give you that opportunity, they give you that referral, can you be reliable?
Yep.
And then you've got trust.
Yep.
And once we build the trust, only you can break it.
Mm-hmm.
Only you can mess that up if you drop the ball. Only you.
Yep.
So we just got to keep nurturing it. And I think really we have, we've developed a pipeline that keeps us on track of, okay, who sent us what, who have we talked to, who haven't we talked to, why aren't they working with us, what's going on, and we just stay on top of it. And like I said, I threw out a huge number, maybe only 30, 40 people give us referrals that month, but we do have 500-600 contacts, and the goal is to get all of them referring. And so there's work to be done. We're not, winning is hard work, right? It just doesn't get handed to you. It takes hard work. It's making sure you are beating the next person, the competition to the punch, right?
Well, and it's thinking outside of the box. You've said that a few times now on the call, right? It's really trying not to be, and I think you wanted to say not your, you were talking about your average insurance, and I think you wanted to say your average Joe. That's I wouldn't take offense to that, right? Because I'm not your average Joe. That's literally one of my freaking motto. I'm not your average Joe insurance agent.
I love that.
But I think that is the point. You aren't just bringing coffee and freaking donuts, right? You're taking them to baseball games. You have a suite, right? And here's the really important piece is that whenever you do that, you document it, right? I think a lot of us are probably doing things outside of the box and nobody has a freaking clue, right? And that's the power of social media, y'all. Jason hasn't even talked about his. I know we've had multiple conversations about your Facebook group that really you've kind of just had that built up and really trying to figure out how to strategize and work that. But I mean, you've got a Facebook group with what, probably 25-30,000 freaking people in there. It's all real estate.
Yes.
So, and it's taking what you're doing with those, once you've become trusted, right? Once you've become like you are reliable, you're doing business, they're sending you business. Don't be your average Joe. Go take them to a baseball game, take them to, and even if it is like or maybe like a D League, NBA game or something like that, where you're not really necessarily breaking the bank, but you're doing something different than they're not already getting, right? Because you're right.
Look, it can be something as simple. One of the things we do is they send us a referral. We send them a mouse pad customized through Shutterfly with their family pick on it.
I like that.
We put our logo down at the bottom left corner. You know why? Because if you look at your computer right now and you hold your mouse, what do you see?
Right.
The bottom left corner of your mouse pad, right? Yep. So we put our logo right there. That way we stay in front of them, but it's a picture of them. It's a picture of their family. Right. They're going to use that mouse pad. And then that's going to resonate with them that, Kilgo Insurance is there. So it's things like that you've got to find a way to get in, right, and be likable and reliable.
Yep. That's good, man. That's good. Tony, you got any questions for him to kind of close out?
What, other than say the mouse pad, like what are some other things, like when you're cold contacting, say a referral relationship that you really want to get in? Like how are you leading into that, or how are you maybe identifying that person, or more importantly, how are you immediately establishing that you're a good contact for them to have?
All right, I'll give you another one. So, and by the way, I am not the, be all say all guru in this. I steal ideas from other people as well. So
of course.
I talked to Zach Gould and I said, Zach, I got this top loan officer in the area. I'm having a hard time getting her to even, I've been on podcasts with her. I've called her. We've had meetings that have gotten canceled, and she's busy, I'm busy, and it's just been hard to connect with her. What do you guys do when you have a loan officer like that? He's like, you know what? There's a site called FrameBridge. And what he did was they took a picture off their Facebook or social media, put it on FrameBridge. It's a custom frame. It comes with a note. And we just put something like, hey, Mrs. Loan Officer, man, you are, I just want to say congratulations on all the success you've had. I would love to team up. We're a very successful agency as well. I think we'd make a perfect team. Here's just a token of something I saw that I thought you would like. Would you mind meeting us? Could you spare 5 minutes and, meet with us, or a Zoom call or lunch? We'd like to get to know you a little bit better. Something like that along those lines. And they've got a frame now. Look, there you go.
Literally a referral partner sent me this when Laura was first born. And I was just like, I didn't even expect it, right? But then it's like, this is literally, I look at this and I think of freaking Glenn Hayhurst every time I freaking look at this, right? And then Bruce Weinstein he sent me another one that was it was a stuffed animal, right? Like an elephant that had her like birth date and stuff, like on the ear on the elephant. So yeah, I love that. Spot on.
And that's just it. Like, people, we're talking about this all right now. People are probably writing it down or thinking about it like, oh my God, that's a good idea. Like we should be doing that.
Do it.
Nobody puts it in play.
Right.
Nobody puts it in play.
About 8% of the people actually pay attention to anything we're saying and do anything with it.
That's why I don't mind sharing. I don't mind sharing it because I know we're doing it. I know we're making it work. Our dreams are coming reality. And 99% of the people out there, they want to listen. They want to hear it. They want to know what everybody's doing, but they quite haven't figured out how to put it in play themselves. And so what I would encourage everyone to do is, look, y'all are not my competition. We're going to win regardless.
Right.
Like I said, I shoot for first, not shooting for second. So if you come at me, be prepared to do war.
We playing, baby.
Because I'm going to, but at the same time, I do think we're all in this together.
Sure.
And the world needs better insurance agents. They need people that really do. Everybody can say they have passion for it, but is that passion really running over with their processes, with what their clients feel they're doing? And I want everybody to be better protected, because that means rates go down. That means it's a better economy. That means everything is flowing. Everybody's prosperous, and that all reflects everybody.
Yep.
So I hope you take a couple of these things and go for it and rock it. I want the best for everyone.
Hey, Kilgo,
There's
baby.
definitely one thing I'm stealing from you, and that was a phrase that you used earlier. See, when everybody talks about insurance and the impression they want to leave their client with, what do they always talk about? They'll talk about protection. They talk about peace of mind. But you said the same thing, but use words that I've never heard anybody say it like before. And you said we want you to live life confidently through insurance.
For insurance. It's good.
That's the same thing as having peace of mind, right? But everybody says that. Nobody says that. I'm saying it. I'm gonna stone cold lift that from you, and I'm starting to push that one out there because that is beautiful. That's a much better way to talk about peace of mind, in my
really
opinion.
eases your mind right away, right? When if insurance agent were to
100%.
say that to you, you're like, wow, I feel pretty good now.
Yep. Feel confident.
Absolutely.
Yep. Man, freaking good stuff, Kilgo. Thank you so much for hopping on, bro. It's been a long time coming, and really appreciate you. I know you've got a lot of stuff cooking. You're always on the move, doing something, selling something, building this. So I love that you were able to take the time to hop on, man, because it was a fire show. Had high viewership the whole time. I think you dropped some bombs that not only really resonates with PNC people, even though it was, and that's, I was trying to get a little bit more PNC kind of live shows because we've kind of started going a little bit more on the life and health side, but you said it perfectly, and that's kind of how we'll close is, guys, we're all complementary of each other. Why are we not working together, right? And so that's why I love having the PNC. I know that life and health people and Medicare people could take from the PNC talk, and just like how we can take away from the life and health talk. And Jason, you're already doing what we're trying to do, right? Is, hey, we are cross-selling the life, right? We are trying to get into that other space outside of just selling them an auto and home and an umbrella. Regardless of that, again, we're doing one thing more, right? One level further than the guy next door is, right? And so, again, man, really appreciate you taking the time. This was freaking awesome, dude.
Had a great time. Really appreciate you guys. Admire both of you for what you're doing. Joe, what you do and the advice you gave me on the Facebook group. You're the man. You're definitely the master of that, and I really appreciate that. But yeah, thanks for having me on. It was a great time.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for joining us. This is fantastic. Guys, we're here every Wednesday, 9 a.m. like clockwork. You can count on it. So we hope to see you next time. I don't know who Joe has lined up for our guest, but I'm sure there'll be another stunner. But we'll keep pushing, and we'll.
It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. It's the peak of the week, y'all. So don't give up, right? And don't slow down. Hey, be confident through insurance, right? You can even use that as an agent, right? But don't slow down. The next few weeks, right? Everybody, and even, Jason, you were talking about that guy that you met. He's slowing down because of Thanksgiving, because of Christmas. Hey, there are thousands of other insurance agents that are slowing down. Y'all, hey, choose today. It's Wednesday. It's winning on Wednesday. Let's get after it, and let's go close out some business to finish out 2022. Appreciate y'all. Everybody have a great rest of the week. We'll see y'all later.